Welcome to the Via Stoica Podcast. I'm Benny, and join me as we explore a Stoic way of life, one step at a time. Today I want to take you on a journey to show you how I build my life that I'm very grateful for at the moment. And this is not something to congratulate myself or to show how good I'm living, because there's still a lot of things that I need to improve and there's still a lot of things for me to work on. But I am in a moment where I've realized, like, wow, this is something pretty impressive. And I'm very happy that I am here. But it also showed me that this is something that everybody can do. If I can do it, then you can do it as well. Even Marcus Aurelius reminds himself, if it is humanly possible, then you can do it as well. And I will show you what it took and how I made certain moves and decisions and really changed my life and shifted it to how I envisioned it. And that's really what I wanted to show you about. I wanted to show you where it kind of started, how long it took more or less, and also what are the key components to really make those changes in your life that help. And obviously, when you are listening to the Via Stoica podcast, Stoic philosophy is a big part of that. And I wanted to take you on that journey, mainly to inspire you to maybe see, hey, maybe you can make some changes as well. And maybe you can also move towards living that life that you deserve. And if you listened to last episode, then maybe that is a good way to start as well, with asking yourself those questions. And pretty much based on that episode, I decided to record this one. So check that out. Check all the others out as well, and leave a like and subscribe, do all of those great things. And we love reading your comments, so leave them if you have them or any other questions. But let's dive right into it. So when it really started was somewhere around 2018, where the marriage that I was in was ending. And that was something that, is a shock, especially if you didn't really see it coming. There were some signs, but at that moment itself, what happens is you see your entire future collapse in front of you. And suddenly you're left there with all the shards that you have to pick up and see to manage that into a new life for yourself. And although it is very difficult, when I look back at that moment, that has been one of the most significant ones in my life. Why? Because it really challenged me. It really pushed me to look at what I wanted to do. It was such a strong mirror for me to ask myself, how have you been living and what is in store for you next? To try to live it more deliberate, to try to fix myself, to try to understand myself, and then to try to use that time that I had, because it felt like I've been given some extra time. And to add to that, I also wanted to say that I'm grateful for having been married, having been in that relationship, because it also showed me how life can be in a relationship, and it can also show me how beautiful that can be. But these things don't always last. So that is really where my journey started and to where I am right now. And that's almost 8 years ago. So these things don't happen overnight, right? If you want to change your life and if you say, I want to work towards having this is not going to happen one day and into the next. This is going to take small decisions, deliberate choices, but over time you can make that move. And that's where a vision really helps. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit later. But when that divorce happened, and I didn't drink much during our marriage because I guess, I was pretty happy, right? I was doing well. But then when that happened, suddenly, dark clouds surrounded me and I started drinking heavily again. And luckily that didn't last long because, as you get older, it does have a bigger impact on your life. And I was starting to have hangovers that lasted 3 days. And I realized that my time is more precious. And one morning I looked in the mirror and I told myself, I was like, this is not going to be my life. This is not how I want to spend the rest of my time here. I need to make some changes. And one of the things that you can do more easily are physical things, right? Are the things to exercise, to eat healthy, to, in my case, not drink anymore. All of those things are easier steps that you can try to tackle in your behavior. And that will also allow you to give yourself that mental capacity to reflect and take on all the other steps. At least that's how my approach was. I started going to the gym, started really taking care of my diet, of not drinking, reading more, investigating who I was, reflecting, all of these things. That's what I started to do. And as I went along that journey, I started to create this vision. And that's something that I've really realized helped me stay on my course and consistently live the life that I wanted to live. As I said, even in that job, even in those circumstances, trying to figure myself out. And what that vision really entailed was the following. I was working in a school as an educator. And then you have your fixed holidays, you have the things that, tell you where to be, what time. And later on in the job, I went to an office side of education, and I saw everybody just being dressed the same as me. And I don't know if people watched the Lego Movie, but I just felt like Emmett, right? Where everybody is just doing the exact same thing. And I just didn't feel like that. I just didn't feel like that was where I belonged. And luckily at that moment, I already had that vision. I already had the exit plan. I already thought about what I wanted to go and do. And I realized what is really important to me. What is really important to me is peace of mind, calm, steady life, but also having the freedom over my time, having the freedom over my location. Those are important things for me. I like to travel. I like to explore the world. I like to experience different things, but I also want to do the things at my pace. When I travel, I'm not a tourist. Well, I am, but I'm not like the general tourist that you see. I'm not someone who goes and every day has the day plan and visits all the sites. Sometimes I go to a place and I don't even see the major sites. I just spend time in the neighborhood where I am. I've been doing house sitting and pet sitting to make it all a little bit more economic, but also to learn the environment, to learn the place where I am, but also to learn the neighborhood, to get to meet the people. And the interesting thing with walking dogs is the dogs know the people before you do. So that's a really great way to socialize and to really dive into that life. And that's something that I love. But that's something that I realized that these are important values of me, my priorities. And then when I put that next to my teaching job, I realized it is very limited. I need to be in a job at these specific hours. These are my holidays. This is what I've got to wear. I didn't really want to do that. What I wanted to do is use that freedom of time and location to build something that I believed in, which is now turning into Via Stoica. And hopefully these messages can inspire you. But if I lived my life the way I wanted to do something that inspired someone else, that's something that could make me feel fulfilled and give me that purpose. And it really has been a strong drive in most of the decisions that I've made, not all of them. And still, I'm making wrong decisions left and right, but I have a specific idea of where I wanted to go. So take a moment for yourself and ask yourself, what are my priorities? What is the vision of your life? I used to call it my elevator pitch. If someone asked me, what is the life that you want to live? I would be able to tell them, I don't want to have to work. I want to have my freedom of time and location to do the things that I'm passionate about, that I'm good at, in order to help as many people as I can. Help them live better. And that's really what I'm trying. And maybe in a few years, maybe I'll realize that this doesn't work and I have to do something else. And then I'll try the same thing there to help those around me find themselves, find something else that they maybe want to do, or really get into this job and do their best there and take on that responsibility. So think about that vision and then take stock of your life. Where are you right now? Where do you want to go? What is the path that you need to take? What might be the directions? Do you need to learn new skills, new courses, or whatever it is you need to take? I started to look at my life and I realized that yes, it's really great I was working in Dubai at the time to make more money than I was making while teaching elsewhere, but also realized that I was not building up my pension. My future in that sense, economically, financially, was quite insecure, all of those things. And adding to that, the realization that I didn't need much, I started building a financial plan for myself. I taught myself how to invest, again, learn new skills. How can I make my money work for me? I'm not an expert. I'm not able to give people financial advice. I don't even understand many of the things myself, but I've learned to the degree that now I can manage my money in a way that feels ethically right for me and that can help me live my life better the way I have it envisioned. I started looking at money as a tool, not as an end, but a means to it. And that shifted a lot of things of how I approach these things, these aspects in life that I really didn't care about too much before. I liked making money, but I didn't know exactly what to do with it. I used to spend it a lot. And now I started living more frugal, but also more aware and more full. So look at your financial situation. Where are you wasting your money? Where could you save more? How could you make that asset something that is really central in our lives, something that we have to acknowledge? These are the societal rules that we need money to buy things and to exchange things. How can I make that work best for me? How can I make sure that this tool, this asset is in line with how I want to live? So part of that journey is trying to create financial freedom. And I'm not there, not by any long shot, but I'm trying and I'm working. And by understanding how it works, you can then put it to your benefit and to your use. And also stop worrying as much about it. That is the freedom that the Stoics really look into, right? Not to be worrying about these externals too much, but understanding that whatever you need to deal with in the present moment is something that you already have. That includes money. And that's where we come to this next part of my journey. I think probably the most important one is to create a philosophy of life. That's something that I started doing as I entered this journey, and I've always been someone who thought about life, who wanted to understand what's happening around us and maybe ask those deeper questions. But now I started to do it more intention towards my own life. Instead of trying to pick the world around me apart, I started doing that to myself. And in that journey, I had help. And I think that this is something that we need to remember because Stoic philosophy, any kind of philosophy or how we live our lives, we do need help. We do need support. We need our teachers. We need our guides. That's something that I was fortunate to find in a colleague who helped me to pick books that I wanted to read. I was never a big reader, but at that moment of time, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to look after myself physically, but I'm also going to have to look after myself mentally. And one of the best things that I could think of was reading books, but I didn't know what to read or how to find the right books. So he luckily gave me a lot of book tips, started with sci-fi, with the classics, and then I started to make my way into philosophy books as well. And that's where I found the Stoics. And the great thing is that's where I also found myself on paper in these words of Epictetus, right? That's what I really identified with. Marcus Aurelius, fascinated by it. Seneca, loved reading it. And the great lessons there is like, okay, you can read as much as you want, but how are you going to apply it? How are you going to have this philosophy change your life and not just read it, regurgitate quotes or any of these kind of wisdoms? No, what do they mean to you practically in life? And as I started talking to other people, I started talking on X, on Twitter Spaces, and then I started the podcast. I started writing the blog before it was called the Stoic Padawan, more or less like an outlet. Because at one point when you start reading these things, my mind was just filling itself up. So I started having this outlet. I started having interactions. And I've also used that as a tool to keep myself more accountable, to talk about these things, but also to actually do it. A lot of the times when I'm talking here on the podcast, in my mind, I'm thinking, Benny, are you really doing this? It's great to talk about it, but make sure that you also apply it yourself. So it's a great thing to keep myself accountable. Sometimes I add a little bit too much pressure on myself. And that's where I've got to practice kindness and compassion, understand that I make mistakes, and find the support when I need it. But it has really been a good way to live this life more. And besides the Stoic philosophy, it helped me to live more in a minimalistic way, to make sure that I remove all the redundancies in my life that I don't need, all those stuff, all those things. And being in a place of Dubai, it helps you to accumulate a lot of things you don't need. So when I left there, I sold everything. I have one suitcase, one backpack, and that's all I needed. And that's all I travel with. So life started to be far more simple. I didn't need all that stuff. I didn't need that much money. What I needed was who I am, understand myself, and to explore the world, explore life, and experience the best way I could. And as I got to travel over these last few years, I also managed to improve the relationships around me, spend more time with my family, help out here where I am right now in the Netherlands at my parents' place. Being able to enjoy nature where I grew up, where I used to play in the woods as a kid, and to meet with some old friends again, to rekindle those relationships, and to meet new people as I travel around the world, go to South America, Spain, who knows where. But what I've seen is that having this platform, being able to socialize more, has given me the opportunity to meet new people, to learn more about myself and about the world around us. Because if we stay stuck in our own little bubble, we're never going to appreciate what is there around us. And we can learn so much more from the world. The Stoics and many other philosophers tell us that if you really want to know about life, look at nature. The lessons are all there around us. Be curious, be inquisitive, and be more positive and optimistic. That's something that the world really needs. But as I start to wrap this journey up, where we make it to the present day, again, this is meant to inspire, to say, you can make changes. It's not going to happen overnight. But if you have a clear goal you're working towards, if you understand what kind of life you want to live, then you can start making those small decisions now. And at the end of the day, if you do it consistently enough, your life will change in a big way. I've seen it happen. And again, if I can do it, then you can do it as well. So hope this inspires you. My life is far from perfect, and I am far from perfect myself. But I have seen improvements. I have seen the progress that I've made, and it's been incredible. And I'm super grateful for it. I'm very appreciative of the things that I get to do right now, where I get to be, and how I can live my life. And I wish the same for you. And I believe that you can do that as well. And if you need some help, reach out. Go to viastoica.com or find friends or family, some support around you. If you need that help, take it. Use it, because you deserve it. So thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please show us by, leaving a like or subscribing to the channel. And leave a comment if you have questions or if you have some remarks. We always appreciate reading them. So thank you very much, and we hope to see you in the next episode.